Hi, this is Leonie from Spines and Splines, back again with another sketchbook tour, this time for March. If you haven't seen my channel before, I've been keeping sketchbooks for each month, where I do a drawing for each day that I do some kind of physical activity or exercise. Now, I had some foot and wrist problems at the start of March, so I kind of cut back on my workouts a bit. I stopped deadlifting for March pretty much, and had stopped running for a little while as well, so most of my exercises for March were body weight exercises working on my quads specifically. There were also some weather restrictions in March, namely the Beast from the East was my first ever snowstorm. Yay, very exciting. Got to make my very first snowman, and I love drawing the snowman as well, it was super fun. And hot tip, if you ever want to build a snowman and you've never built a snowman before and you've never even really played with snow before, gloves with boxing gloves on top work super well, who knew? I really like this drawing here on the left, which was some bread that I baked during the storm. Because if you weren't aware, in Dublin, whenever there's a storm, apparently people just buy all the bread. All the shops shut 1 or 2 days into the storm, and beforehand there was like panic buying of bread everywhere, so I bought some flour instead and made some bread at home. I used mostly my ochre and earth-based colours to paint this one, and I think it worked out really well. And on the right is another snow picture, this time my dog Tom, playing in his first snow, which he loved. This photo of Tom as well is essentially my first gouache painting. I bought a little set of gouache which I hadn't really used at all before, and it's the Schmincke Akademie gouache, which is their student grade. And the set that I've got is basically the process colours, so cyan, magenta, yellow, black and white. Didn't really know how I would go with them, but I'm really enjoying them so far. So I was worried for all the flowers that were getting covered with the snow. Turns out my worry was misplaced because they've all bloomed now and look fantastic. And on the right hand side is a pencil picture I drew on a plane, because it turns out that while the snow was great and we loved it, it completely ruined my birthday surprise that my husband had been planning for like 8 months. So our first flight was cancelled because of the storm, and we struggled to get to the airport a couple of days later, only to have our flight cancelled again as we were waiting in line, which was super fun. But anyway, we eventually got on a plane and spent 5 days in Amsterdam, and it was fantastic. I took all my stuff to do drawings when I was in Amsterdam, but didn't actually end up doing any of them there. The Airbnb that we ended up staying at didn't really have a good spot to sit and draw, so I just took photos and then drew when I got home. The picture on the right, I wish I had have bought a packet of these, but I didn't. It's something that I saw in the souvenir shop at the Van Gogh Museum, which is the Potato Eaters crisps, so it's got a picture of the Potato Eaters painting crisps, which I thought was pretty funny. The little drawing on the left here is an Indian ink drawing of a little installation that we saw in one of the art school windows. It was full of installations that were what I would only describe as first year university art school installations. This one made us laugh every time we saw it. You can't really see it in the picture here that I've drawn, but the little card in front of the wine glass has got some Scrabble tiles on it that just read, "Why?" And this is a coloured pencil drawing of the bench from the Fault in Our Stars, which happened to be just around the corner from where we were staying, which was really handy because I couldn't remember the name of the street we were staying in, so I would just type Tifios Bench into Google Maps and it would take me home. So just outside the zoo in Amsterdam, there's a building that's being renovated. So there's hoardings up all around the building that have got these arches painted on them, which I think are patterns from the original windows of the building that's being renovated. So I wanted to paint a couple of those. And we're back in Dublin now. After all the snow, we got a day of just soaking wet rain. I know it would seem like it normally happens here, but usually you can walk out in the rain, no worries, and not really get wet at all. This day the rain didn't seem that bad when I went out to walk, but it was kind of coming in sideways, and I just got absolutely saturated and was soaking wet by the time I got to the studio, so I had to tape my gloves and other pieces of clothing above my heaters to dry them out. And here we've got some more gouache drawing experiments again. On the left is a green curry that I made for St. Patrick's Day, and on the right is a dog toy which belongs to our dog Tom. It's a dodo and we call it Dougal. And then it snowed again, hooray! I decided not to let the snow stop me from going outside this time, so I went for a run in the snow, which was really fun. So this was the St. Patrick's Day weekend, so we had a public holiday on the Monday, and we went to the zoo, and they had these adorable little, maybe 2-week-old little piglets, and they were really sweet. And then a couple more drawings from the zoo. A sea lion on the left. The sea lions at Dublin Zoo are super fantastic and fun, and we go and look at them every time we go. And on the right is a white wolf. Usually the wolves kind of hang back, but this time they were sitting right up close to the glass so we could get a really good look at them. And this painting on the left here is probably my least favourite from this book. It was one of my most favourites, and then I decided to add another layer to it and completely ruined it. and I was going to add more layers to try and fix it, but I thought no, let it go, it is what it is. So the Dublin Zoo is in Phoenix Park, which is a really big walled park, and these big herds of deer live in the park, so I always take photos of them every time I go. And when we went to the zoo, I saw a sign up for a 5-kilometre run the next week, and I hadn't done a 5k run since like June or July last year, so I decided to sign up on a whim and took some more photos of the deer while I was there. And these drawings were done using some traditional Sumi ink. So usually now you get Sumi ink that's liquid and comes in a bottle and you empty it out and use it that way. This one that I've got is like a Sumi ink stick, and you grind it up and mix it with water and then paint. So this was the first time I'd used that. And the drawing on the right is my dog Tom again, but this time done from life. So despite all the snow that's been happening, there have been some signs of spring around. And I've been taking photos of all the little buds and flowers that are coming out, and I really like this one. It's a watercolour drawing just using a couple of colours, so I think probably opera rose, sap green and a raw umber. The picture on the right here is another watercolour one that I really like. It's a little stuffed toy that we have that was given to us by some friends a few years ago. Probably more than a few years ago now, probably more like 10 years ago, because I'm old. And he's super fun to draw because he's got these long limbs that kind of flop about. And on the left here I'm back to my glasses of drink, which I find really fun to draw. This was a cocktail that my husband made me. And on the right, the daffodils in bloom, perfectly healthy, not frozen to death. And that's it for March. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share and comment if you enjoyed this video, and stay tuned to Spines and Splines for more exercises and projects that you can do in your studio or workspace. Cheers!